The Godfather novel. The Godfather is a crime novel by American author Mario Puzo. Originally published in 1969 by G.P. Putnam's Sons, the novel details the story of a fictional Mafia family in New York City, headed by Vito Corleone, the Godfather. The novel covers the years 1945 to 1955 and includes the backstory of Vito Corleone from early childhood to adulthood. The first in a series of novels, The Godfather is noteworthy for introducing Italian words like consigliere, caporegime, Cosa Nostra, and omertà to an English-speaking audience. It inspired a 1972 film of the same name. Two film sequels, including new contributions by Puzo himself, were made in 1974 and 1990. The Corleone family, one of the 5 families of the New York Mafia, fights the other 4 families in a brutal war in the years after World War II. After Don Vito Corleone is shot by men working for drug kingpin Virgil the Turk Salozzo, Corleone's 2 sons, Santino and Michael, must run the family business with the help of consigliere Tom Hagen and the family's 2 trusted caporegimes, Peter Clemenza and Salvatore Tasio. When Michael murders Salozzo and his bodyguard, corrupt NYPD Captain Mark McCluskey, while meeting with them in a restaurant, the conflict escalates into a full-scale war which results in Sonny's murder. Michael must return from hiding in Sicily to assume control of the family as the new Don. Under his retired father's tutelage, Michael orchestrates a plan to extract revenge, while relocating the Corleone family's power base to Las Vegas in order to further his goal of legitimizing the family and getting them out of organized crime. This encompasses the murder of all of the Corleone family's enemies, including Michael's brother-in-law Carlo Rizzi, who played a part in Sonny's murder. After selling all of the family's remaining businesses in New York, the Corleones permanently moved to Las Vegas. The Corleone family patriarch is Vito Corleone, whose surname represents the Sicilian town of his birth, Corleone. His birth name is Vittorio Andolini, but after immigrating to the United States following the deaths of his parents and brother, he changed it to the name of his home village as one of his few acts of sentimentality. Vito fathered 4 children: Sonny Corleone, Fredo Corleone, Michael Corleone, and Connie Corleone. He also has an informally adopted son, Tom Hagen, who became the Corleone family's consigliere. Vito Corleone is also godfather to the famous singer and movie star Johnny Fontana. The Godfather referred to in the title is Vito, but the story's main character becomes Michael. The novel's central storyline details Michael's destiny to succeed his father as the head of the family empire. Despite his desire to lead an Americanized life with his girlfriend Kay Adams, the Corleone family is a criminal organization with national influence, notably protection, gambling and union racketeering. Serving as the Don's underboss is his oldest son, Sonny. The operational side of the organization is headed by 2 caporegimes, Peter Clemenza and Salvatore Tasio. Other significant members of the organization include Connie's abusive husband Carlo Rizzi and enforcers Luca Brasi and Val Neri. In the New York Times, Roger Jelinek wrote that the book was bound to be hugely successful, and not simply because the Mafia is in the news. Mr. Puzo's novel is a voyeur's dream, a skillful fantasy of violent personal power without consequences. The victims of the Corleone family are hoods, or corrupt cops, nobody you or I would actually want to know. Just business, as Don Vito would say, not personal. You never glimpse regular people in the book, let alone meet them, so there is no opportunity to sympathize with anyone but the old patriarch, as he makes the world safe for his beloved family. The novel remained on the New York Times bestseller list for 67 weeks and sold over 9 million copies in 2 years. The 1972 film adaptation of the novel was released with Marlon Brando as Don Vito Corleone and Al Pacino as Michael Corleone, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Mario Puzo assisted with both the writing of the screenplay and other production tasks. The film grossed approximately $269 million worldwide and won various awards, including 3 Academy Awards, 5 Golden Globes and 1 Grammy. The film is considered to be tremendously significant in cinematic history. The sequel, The Godfather Part 2, won 6 Oscars, and became the first sequel to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. The film's plot follows the novel except for such details as backstories of some characters that are excluded, although they were filmed. Some of this footage was included in later re-edited versions such as The Godfather Saga. The subplot involving Johnny Fontana in Hollywood was not filmed. The most significant deviation of the film from the novel was that the latter had a more positive ending than the film, in which Kay Corleone accepts Michael's decision to take over his father's business. The film ends with Kay's realization of Michael's callousness, a theme that would develop in the second and third films, which are largely not based on the original novel. Vito Corleone's backstory appeared in the second film, with his character portrayed by Robert De Niro. The video game company Electronic Arts released a video game adaptation of The Godfather film on March 21, 2006. The player assumes the role of a soldier in the family. Prior to his death, Marlon Brando provided some voice work for Vito, which was eventually deemed unusable and was dubbed over by a Brando impersonator. Francis Ford Coppola said in April 2005 that he was not informed of Paramount's decision to allow the game to be made and he did not approve of it. Al Pacino declined to participate, and his likeness was replaced with a different depiction of Michael Corleone. In 1984, Puzo's literary sequel to The Godfather was published. Titled The Sicilian, it chronicles the life of Giuliano, but the Corleone family is featured heavily throughout, Michael Corleone in particular. Chronologically, this story sits between Michael's exile to Sicily in 1950 and his return to the United States. For copyright reasons, the Corleone family involvement was cut from the Michael Cimino film adaptation, which is not considered part of the Godfather film series. In 2004, Random House published a sequel to Puzo's The Godfather Returns, by Mark Weingartner. A further sequel by Weingartner, The Godfather's Revenge, was released in 2006. These novels continue the story from Puzo's novel. The Godfather Returns picks up the story immediately after the end of Puzo's The Godfather. It covers the years 1955 to 1962, as well as providing significant backstory for Michael Corleone's character prior to the events of the first novel. The events of the film The Godfather Part 2 all take place within the time frame of this novel, but are only mentioned in the background. The novel contains an appendix that attempts to correlate the events of the novels with the events of the films. The Godfather's Revenge covers the years 1963 to 1964. Continuing Puzo's habit, as seen in The Godfather, of featuring characters who are close analogues of real-life events and public figures, Weingartner features in his two Godfather novels analogues of Joseph, John F. and Robert F. Kennedy, as well as alleged organized crime figure Carlos Marcello. In The Godfather Returns, Weingartner also dramatizes the sweep of organized crime arrests that took place in Appalachian, New York, in 1957. Weingartner uses all of the characters from the Puzo novels and created a few of his own, most notably Nick Geraci, a Corleone soldier who plays a pivotal role in the sequel novels. Weingartner further develops characters from the original novel, such as Fredo Corleone, Tom Hagen, and Johnny Fontana. In 2012, a prequel based on an unproduced screenplay by Mario Puzo titled The Family Corleone, was written by Ed Falco. It tells the story of how Vito Corleone rises to dawn and how Sonny Corleone and Tom Hagen enter the family business. The Corleone family closely resembles the Karamazov family in The Brothers Karamazov. A powerful father, an impulsive oldest son, a philosophical son, a sweet-tempered son, and an adopted stepson who is maintained as an employee. Honoré de Balzac's novel Le Père Goriot has been the inspiration for notable lines that have gained wide popularity in cinema history. Similarly, Puzo opened his 1969 novel with an epigraph popularly attributed to Balzac. Behind every great fortune there is a crime. The saying is most likely evolved over time from Balzac's original text. The secret of a great success for which you are at a loss to account is a crime that has never been found out because it was properly executed. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse was included in both the original Puzo novel and in the film adaptation. It is the second-ranking cinematic quote included in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movie Quotes by the American Film Institute. Its origin may be from the same work to which Balzac is credited with the opening epigraph. Balzac wrote of Vautrin telling Eugene, "In that case, I will make you an offer that no one would decline." Large parts of the novel are based upon reality, notably the history of the five families, the Mafia organization in New York and the surrounding area. The novel also includes many allusions to real-life mobsters and their associates. For example, Johnny Fontana is based on Frank Sinatra, and Mo Green on Bugsy Siegel. In addition, the character of Vito Corleone was a composite of real-life organized crime bosses Frank Costello and Carlo Gambino.